it's more friendly, it's more user-friendly to say that hypergamy is only about protection, provisioning, parental investment, and long-term security, and all these noble good things that build
stepping
families.
up and being a man. Stepping up.
Yes. And meanwhile, you and I are at Omnia last night, and we're looking at these chicks who want to go home and fuck.
Where do you see his disagreement, Jordan Peterson's disagreement between you and he specifically dealing with hypergamy?
I don't think there is any a disagreement, quite honestly, with hypergamy in general. Because
he believes in hypergamy.
Well, he does. I think that he as well as a lot of other evolutionary psychologists, they don't like when we talk about hypergamy. We talk about dual mating strategy, alpha fucks, beta bucks. Guys who sign on for hypergamy only sign on to the beta buck side of it.
Right.
They think that, and that's another reason why I had a problem.
By the way, I can taste the soy sauce.
Again, no, I was just about to say.
It tastes like soy. I'm kidding. Like it tastes like when you dip the soy sauce.
It's like
with the fucking.
What's
I feel like I could dip sushi in this.
Remember when you have like the stick and you lick the stick and you dick it, you put it into the little dot and that's what it tastes like.
It tastes like. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, I have fought tooth and nail to sort of broaden the definition of hypergamy.
You think Dr. Peterson is just half right?
I think that he knows that there is a visceral animal lust, arousal side. Remember, I talk about the difference between arousal and attraction.
And he doesn't talk about it because then he doesn't go on Joe Rogan.
No, well, of course not. But he's acknowledged it in the past, but this is before he became the brand that is Jordan Peterson. So I have heard him talk about hypergamy on Joe Rogan on like his early ones before he went into rehab, right? Yeah. And he would say, hypergamy, and he would talk about the dual mating strategy. He even talked about ovulatory shift for a while, but he would never like lean all the way over. So when I listen to guys who are like quote unquote, evolutionary psychologists or like these supposed to be notable guys with degrees and everything, academia talk about hypergamy, they always use the classic definition of it, which is marrying up. And the reason they stick to that is because it's more friendly, it's more user-friendly to say that hypergamy is only about protection, provisioning, parental investment, and long-term security, and all these noble good things that build
stepping
families.
Up and being a man. Stepping up.
Yes. And meanwhile, you and I are at Omnia last night, and we're looking at these chicks who want to go home and fuck. That's what they want. Like, according to these guys, women don't want to fuck. They just want to get married and have babies with one person.
Not me, honey. I came home to you.
Yes,
I didn't do any of that. But yes, there were women there that was their intention.
He was a good boy.
That was a good boy.
Yeah, that's exactly. But women want to fuck.
Yeah.
They never want to acknowledge the alpha fucks visceral side of it, the short-term sexual as opposed to the long-term security side of it, of dual. So the only thing that exists is we're going to get married, we're going to have babies, and women are blameless, and it's the women is wonderful dynamic. I'm sure you probably heard of that before, where we don't talk anything. We all think women are like, we put them on pedestals. Literally, psychologically, men put women on pedestals, not because of society, not because of like some sort of codependency. It's just we have an innate protector dynamic where we want to put women on a pedestal.
And if we didn't, there wouldn't be a species.
Exactly. So we'll talk about big head babies on another show. But the long and the short of it is that they want to focus primarily on just sort of the long-term security, because that's what plays well in a gynocentric social order, because it doesn't address the uncomfortable questions. Like I was saying, like the red pill asks uncomfortable questions that don't taste good after the conversation is over. So if I'm going to say, well, if I talk about the alpha fuck side and how women enjoy sex and how they like to have, how they like violent criminals, hybristophilia, 50 Shades of Grey, women tend to search for violent porn far more than men do. Lots of studies and lots of research on that. I can't even imagine having that conversation with Dr. Jordan Peterson, much less, Dr. David Buss or anything else, because they don't want to alienate half of their audience. I literally have heard Chris Williamson say, I don't want to interview Rolo because I don't want to alienate half of my audience. Right. I think he's right on a lot of stuff, but he sounds like he's gleeful. Meanwhile, he's literally interviewing the people who I am quoting when I'm talking about short-term alpha fuck side of hypergamy. They just simply don't want to address that because it's not commercially viable to maintain a million sub channel to keep that going. And I get it. There's commercial interest in it, but you, again, are not interested in truth. You're only interested in content at that stage. So when we're talking about the differences in hypergamy between I've heard Dr. Jordan Peterson actually use my expanded version or my expanded definition of hypergamy. And they'll say, well, you're just Rollo Tomassi. You don't have a degree and you don't have a doctorate in psychology, so you don't get to write the rules and you don't get to make a definition. Meanwhile, everybody else is basically using it as a colloquialism for alpha fucks and beta bucks.